What is up, guys? Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh here, and today we have Trevor once again, who has topped another regional. What is up, man? Do you have any shout-outs?
Yeah, real quick shout outs to Liam, to Jake, to the entire group chat, Yugioh school, gotta do it. Shout outs to Aaron. Shout outs to
I can't get shout outs
the
to
Richmond
Yugioh, bro. Come
people.
on.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yo, scrubbed round 3. And then shout out to Michael. He also got second place, so that's cool.
Nice, yeah.
Good job.
Richmond did well today.
Yes, without a doubt. We gotta show up at home, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what'd you play today?
I played Prank-Kids again with the Brave engine.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what made you choose this deck versus, Despia's around everywhere, the format's changing?
What made me choose this deck? This is a great choice. I didn't want to play this deck. I wanted to play Drytron because I thought it was a really, really good choice for this specific event's weekend. However, I first found the Drytron cards, but not the expensive cards, and then I found the expensive cards, but not like the cheap cards. It sounds weird, but like I gave up after it was like 3 a.m. and I was still at the bar. I gave up and was like, oh, I'm just gonna play Prank-Kids, not gonna overthink it, and I didn't.
Yeah, you have a lot of experience with Prank-Kids.
Yeah,
and
didn't
every
really
experience is a
think
good
about it.
choice.
Exactly. But yeah, let's get into it. For the Prank-Kid lineup, I really wanted to do as small as possible. I just wanted it to be a good engine, and that's it. This felt like the perfect amount. I'll talk about this like ratio more when I get to the side deck. I also played 2 Field Spell again, so altogether 10 Prank-Kids actual like starters, and then the 2 bricks.
Did 10 Prank-Kid monsters feel good to you? Were there a lot of games where you either drew all pranks or no pranks?
No, there were like maybe 2 games where I drew only like more than 2 pranks, so that felt good. A lot of the games I drew 1, if not any pranks, and like those hands where you don't draw pranks, it means that you have like hand traps, brave stuff, DPE, so like you still win those, and then eventually like the Celestial draws into the Prank-Kids cards, so it's perfectly fine. It felt good. It didn't feel cloggy except for like 1 game that mattered, so that's good. And then the Brave lineup, and then I also consider this just 1 small world this time, because I didn't want to play 0, because this helps with the problems of the deck, as well as it searches like interruptions. I still love the card, it's just it's not amazing this format, but it's also not bad. I'll talk about it more when I get to the hand traps, but I played like 8 of the Brave engine, and I kind of wish I played more to see it more, especially after sighting, but it was fine. I didn't want to play like more small world in this build. And then the 1-ofs. I never missed a second Fateful. I think 1 Fateful is perfectly fine because you kind of just force them to out it, and then when they do, that means they use resources, so that's usually enough, or sometimes they're not able to out it. It's perfectly fine. If you play correctly, 1 is perfectly fine. And then the Destiny Fusion, guys, it's unfortunately mandatory. I cut it for a while to see if I could, but I couldn't. And then the hand traps, I played like the 9 or the 3 like generically good ones. Basically good against everything. It's not great against like Prank-Kids and like the insane decks, and not really good against Sword Soul, but it's insane against Branded Fusion. This card's good, especially like the draw. This card's generically good, and the format's like all over the place. So it just felt like the right ratio. And then 1 DD Crow because I wanted to draw into it, and I didn't want to play 0 because it actually has some good small world routes, as well as 2 Nibs. This was like an event choice. I don't think Nibs was insane in testing all like last week, but this week I was like, I didn't want to play 0 of this in the deck, and it definitely doesn't have a spot in the side deck, that's for sure. So I main decked it and just hoped that I didn't see it against Despia too much. When I saw it, it was very good. In the simplest terms, it just like got out a Baron negate, and then you just picked apart the rest of the board. And then the other terms, like people aren't playing around this game 1. So for example, I think like round 2, the Sword Soul guy he made the Long Young Synchro, and then that's 5 summons, and he's not summoning Baron, so I just threw this down. He was like upset, but that's the reason I played it, to get people upset, so it's good.
Yeah, got greedy.
Of course. So altogether 12 hand traps in a 45 card list leaves it about, I think, 80% chance to draw 1 and 64 to draw 2, something like that. Droplets, I think it's very good in the main deck. I know it's not insane against Despia, but it's like fine sometimes. As well, it's like good against basically everything else. Like it's worth main decking and then figuring it out after siding. It was insane today, completely ridiculous. Especially, yeah, it was just good. I don't want to talk. It was good, especially against a lot of rogue decks. 2 talents. I really liked this card, this format, especially like in this deck. Specifically in main deck, I don't think I would side this, but basically when I had it and they didn't have hand traps, you just banish it off Roxy's, turn it into a new card. As well as when they did have hand traps, you usually get to pick a card from hand and then make Verte. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. And then the last card, the God card, should be banned. 45 cards in the main deck.
Nice.
Yeah. And then to the extra deck, the tokens. The 1 Meow Meow, you only need 1, it's okay. And then the 4 links all together. Yeah, I had to cut the 3rd doodle, even though I think it comes up like breaking board sometimes. You had to cut it, it's necessary. I never really needed it today, and I haven't needed it in a while, but when it does come up, it's massive. And then the Prank-Kids fusions. I cut the instant fusion, of course. I really wanted to play it in 45 cards, but I decided DD Crow over the instant fusion, which I'm glad I did.
How much did the fusions come up today?
This I summoned all the time. This I summoned twice. This I summoned like, I think 4 times. When they come up, it's like mandatory. This was like used to attack over the like floating Despia fusion.
Yeah.
That was good. It was used to attack over a couple things. It was used against Striker to just like, you know, do the setup or whatever, and then like you have both of these guys on board and you just kill them the following turn. It's crazy. It's pretty good.
It generates so much advantage.
Exactly. Then this is pretty standard. I think this is still correct. When the second Link Spider comes up, it comes up big, so you just have to. It's mandatory. And then the 2 Verte. I summoned the second one a couple times, actually. I almost never summon the second one, especially at tournaments, but this tournament I summoned the second one a lot. And then Nightmare Cerberus, Unicorn, and Axis Kotogger. This card was crazy today, especially because this is basically a better version of a 3rd Doodle, I would say, because when you have like Doodle, when you're trying to break a board and you have Doodle and then 2 cards underneath Doodle, 2 monsters underneath Doodle, you can turn it into this, and then they can't even like DP pop, they can't Guardian Chimera a lot. It's kind of cool.
One that can't be destroyed by card effects?
Yeah, this is the one that protects co-linked monsters from card effects.
Plus they can't destroy either one then.
Yeah, so if they don't like see this coming, you make this, and then like they lose a lot of value, if not all value, from Guardian Chimera, from DPE, from like other random like pop effects. It's nice. And then Axis Code to kill, of course. And then the last 2 cards, the DPE and the El Shadal and Nolatilis. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Yeah, thank you. It's the water card. Basically, I'll get to the side deck real fast and we'll talk about that. 15 and extra, of course. I played the Shadal package in my side deck for like Despia and like DPE decks. After siding, you would take out 1 of every single Prank Kid, and it would just be like an engine deck, basically, like a bunch of hand traps and a bunch of engines, with like 1 card engines with like the Brave, and it was just another like 1 card very good going second interruption. You would activate the Shadal fusion against a board, send the Aerial, and send the Water Enchantress to summon the Nautilus. The effect of a Nautilus doesn't really come up on a whole lot, but you use this to banish all the targets for Brandon in red, so you either force it out immediately, or or they just don't get to use it. And then afterwards, you can. I also used it to like banish snow too, because people liked that card this event, I guess. And then it just sets up the the Brave engine.
That's just insane. Clear out the grave and then also set up your Brave stuff.
Exactly, and then afterwards you just normal summon a kid. It's insane.
Did the effect of Annoy Antilles ever come up?
No, it really didn't. I only summoned this twice. I only saw this twice. It was unfortunate. I did see this once, and I didn't get to it, but you could, in theory, use the Fateful to send this from hand, and then that would trigger the effect. So that's also not horrible to like draw. It's not great, but it's not horrible.
Could the Annoy Antilles have been like a construct then instead? Because the same materials would work, since Ariel's a Shaddoll, and then Enchantress is like
a water.
I'm stupid. Never
Yeah,
mind.
Enchantress is a water.
Oh, so you have to send the water. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's like an 804 thing. We're obsessed with deciding Shaddoll fusion.
So this was insane. When I saw it, it was just ridiculous. So I'm glad I played that. I might play it in the future. There's obviously testing to see. And then in the side deck, I played 2 more Crow against the Despia matchup because I felt like Veilers were kind of weird, Nibs were kind of weird, so this just came out for Nibs. And then 2 Imperms because I wanted a generic hand trap that I could also top deck because I liked the idea of top decking hand traps this format specifically. And then 3 Token Collector because dude, Sword Soul's crazy. I can't deal with it, so I needed a really powerful card against Sword Soul. So I played 3. It was insane. Whenever I saw it, it was just constantly flooding. It was just coming back. Like I would play DPE Token Collector control, and that was just the best deck.
Yeah.
3-2 in reboot. I wanted to respect back row. A lot of people were on the Eldritch deck, as well as like Anti-Spell, the Blackout, Rivalry goes in. Just like a lot of people are playing Floodgates and not trap decks, so I wanted to respect that. And it never really like came up, I would say, but it was all right. Like I would probably do it again in this situation. But yeah, that was the deck. That's it.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
So, having played so much Prank Kids in the past, would you say that most of your rounds this event, came down to like your experience with the deck, or do you think it was more of like deck building decisions versus technical play?
This event, I would say the majority of my victories were from deck building. Was from deck building today. The deck worked pretty normal, except for in the last few rounds, it came down to skill, and I'm fine with like turning something into a skill matchup. The one real game that I lost was game 3. I just bricked. I drew completely unplayable. It was unfortunate. And then the other one that I lost, we actually went X2 and got top 8. That was actually so funny. The other one I lost was the last round against Dragon Link, and the deck wasn't built for Dragon Link. It had a lot of bad hand traps for the Dragon Link matchup. So like obviously I lost against Dragon Link. It was unfortunate that I ended up pairing up against it, but it's whatever.
Do you remember your other matchups?
Unfortunately, I didn't play as many Despia. I was hoping to play against more Despia because I thought my deck was very well set up for Despia. I played 2 Sword Soul. I played a rock deck. I played a striker matchup. I played 2 Despias. I was hoping to like 3 to 5 Despias, but it's whatever. The last round was Dragon Link, and then the other main one was like Flunder, which shout out to Jace. Another guy from locals. That was the Flunder matchup. It's good. But yeah, that was the matchup. Sorry, I don't really remember my matchups a whole lot.
No, it's all good. But what you said kind of feels like the trap of this format, to where like you want to prepare for Despia, but then you get to an event and you play like 1 or 2, but you took out your nibs, you took out, the other stuff that would be good against combos like Sword Soul.
Exactly.
But it looks like you made like a good deck building choices to keep some of those cards in, such as the 2 nibs, such as the Veilers that a lot of people are dropping. And I'm sure that helped you do well against some of the non-Despia decks.
Definitely. There was, right now you go to an event, you play, there's a possibility of playing 7 different decks in an 8-round tournament. So I think you should have a deck that is more like flexible in the matchups. I think trying to focus on just one deck will punish you unless you get really lucky and play against that deck a lot. I don't know. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.